die, and they flew his broken body out just because the parents begged him, and all of the trauma specialists literally looked at him and said he's going to die, and he sat there and invented the first green powder products. That was Mitchell May we're talking about. That makes synergy. He created and invented it. And because he couldn't open his mouth, his jaw was broken in like 30 places. So he created that powder, put it in water, and his friends would put it through a straw and take the other end and blow it down his throat. And that's how he came back to life. That was a great product. Well, nitric oxide is a totally different thing. Why would you take that? Okay. What are you taking it for?
For your heart.
I know. Nitric oxide. Okay, I have it. Okay. That's different. Nitric oxide can be helpful, but I would watch taking that as an isolated form. There's so many things you can do. Arginine. Arginine is by far the best thing for the heart. If you go to a civilized nation, for instance, in Europe, Northern Europe, where my wife is from, the medical doctors give you that. That brings the heart back like nothing else. So I would prefer you do that than isolate. Okay. Yes?
Fresh cut greens, or can you store the greens in the refrigerator for days?
Well, good question. So if you cut down greens or sprouts, do they last in your refrigerator? To some degree they do. What you've got to do is suck the air out of the bag. Air is what kills the green. And so you get the sprouts or whatever you're putting in the bag, suck the air out, tie it up, very tight, no air gets in. And for instance, most sprouts, not buckwheat, but sunflower, pea green, wheatgrass, last pretty well. You only lose about 10-15% in 6-7 days. After that, they go like this. They turn white. They're like dye. Anyone here? Yes.
It's all very confusing because there are doctors out there like Drs. McDougall and Dr. Furman who are healing the same diseases, cancer, on cookie diets, and Dr. McDougall is a starch-based diet. And so it gets confusing when you have all these conflicting.
These colleagues of mine, Dr. McDougall and Dr. Furman, do not do work with seriously ill people like you. I know both of these men. As a matter of fact, Dr. McDougall doesn't work with cancer. That's not his expertise. They try to do light things like cardiovascular, like so easy to get rid of cardiovascular, diabetes, etc. Now, if you put people on a meat diet and put them on a plant-based diet, they're going to come in a certain way. Just like macrobiotics are going to bring you to a certain place. But then the nourishment problem becomes the issue, and the return of the cancer and the immune system. So again, I have a lot of respect for my colleagues, and we need different levels. There's entry levels for people who aren't willing to take it to where it needs to go. And that's where I look at where they, God bless them, what they do is wonderful. And they send the cancer people to us. People who are seriously ill, they pick up the phone and send them to us. They don't mess with it.
My next question is, so disease can be healed through this way of life. What about, for instance, I was in a car accident, and I still suffer from terrible chronic pain in my neck and in my lower back. Can you heal that?
It depends. It depends. Most pain can be dealt with very well with electromagnetic cold laser therapy. And my favorite of all, well, there's two. Cranial reconstruction, which is a very lovely.
I need that.
That's what it is. And number two, NUCA. NUCA is done by chiropractors at a very unique level. You have to be mathematical geniuses to do that. They only deal with that. These are the things I've seen in the 41 years I've done this be the most effective. And again, we see people start to walk who couldn't walk, and we see people take therapies and it doesn't really work out. And it's about nerve and structure and what's broken and what's not broken, etc. One thing I will say, you will improve at some level. I would say probably half the people you can reverse it, the other half you're going to minimize it, or it's not going to do a whole lot. That's just your problem. It's your structure, etc.
George Malcolm is telling you there's loneliness.
Again, what George is a very pragmatic guy. I love George for that. He's the only guy in the world who got 2 million Christians to eat raw food. That I applaud. George Malcolm. I said, George, how do you do that? When I go out there eating fried chicken and spinach, that's it. And he said to me, listen, he said, I monitor. He said, what you're saying is absolutely correct. You don't give them something sweet. You don't give them something they can run out of powder. Now look, we did studies up at the MIT labs back 33 years ago when we were still in Boston. We looked at wheatgrass powder, same as barley powder. It's less than 1% effective. Now think about it. What I juice and throw away, the pulp, they drop and sell. Where's the benefit in the juice? Is it somewhat good? Sure, but I'm not going to say 1% of what you can get by taking barley juice and drinking it is really that effective. There's only 9% of supplements in the market that are good for you. 91% are not. I don't know if they have it tonight. They don't. But my book that came out several years ago, Supplements Exposed, explained that entire thing. I'll show you exactly why. That happens to be one of the good ones. It's not one I buy. I don't buy wheatgrass powder or barley powder. But God bless George, and I don't criticize anyone that's doing good work.
What about grounding sheets?
Grounding sheets, some are just bogus baloney and some work. And you can check with grounding sheets. As you put your, remember we spoke earlier about 2 ways from the universe and from the grounding sheets do help you. And you know you can make these things cheap as today. They're copper wires. You get copper wires, you get a pad, you put epoxy on the bottom and stick them down and it works. Yes?
I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about supplements. I know that there seems to be a resurgence of vitamin D deficiency in the population. Also, you can talk about enzymes and probiotics.
Okay. When I was a little boy, they used to tell you, and even in school they told me as a young man, that the #1 way to boost the immune system was the sun. And about 30-some years ago, all at once the sun became the boogeyman. Don't go in the sun's bad, horrible thing, you're going to get cancer. I even bought into it. So for about 3 years I'm thinking, oh my God, I better not go out, I'm going to get cancer. Then I became a little awake. I said, wait a minute, those Africans must all be dying of cancer. The South American people, and I checked them, and they didn't have any higher incidence of cancer in Africa or South America than they did 50 years before. So why was it in Whitey world we were getting cancer? So in Whitey world, why we were getting cancer was quite simple. Because we were living radically different than our grandparents did. During the Second World War, the petrochemical industry obviously didn't think it was making enough money, so it created pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, polyester, nylon clothes, etc. And we started to massively pollute the environment with chemistry coming from the oil industry. Now, at the same point, we started to find new money. The middle class started to grow. And what we did as middle-class people is look up at the rich folk and say, oh, they're eating a lot of dairy food, they're eating a lot of meat, they're eating all of it. And all at once, we started to consume, as of today, 4 times more meat and dairy than our grandparents. The only advocate I had when I came home and told my parents I was a bigot was my grandmother. They almost had a heart attack. They thought I was becoming suicidal. My grandmother pulled me aside and says, I know it's okay because I never ate meat as a girl. They weren't dirt poor, they were just poor. Because they eat meat twice a month. That's how people used to eat it. Now, I used to eat 4 times a day. And then wash it down with a gallon of ice cream at night. Now, animal fat is where heavy metals and chemicals reside. That's why fish have major amounts of chemicals. That's why animals have major amounts of chemicals and heavy metals. There you have it. If the sun is the #1 booster of the immune system, which it is, that's why when you sit in the sun, do nothing, you feel remarkable. Your immune system is boosted. What's it doing? It's pushing waste out. So animal fat filled with what? Chemicals. Sun comes down, the skin becomes a frying pan, voila, you get skin cancer. That's why we have skin cancer. Not because the sun is giving you skin cancer. Ask the Africans. They're eating pretty much the way they did, other than in the cities where they get. The #1 group in the United States with skin cancer is African American. Now, why are the Africans not getting it, but their ancestors, their heritage, African Americans are getting it? Because African Americans don't eat an African diet. They eat an American diet. This is our problem. Vitamin D. I knew that was going to hit the fan. About 6-7 years ago, I saw a flurry of research on vitamin D. I said, you watch, they're going to start pushing vitamin D. Well, all at once they did. The study that's put on the blood test is not a vitamin D test. That's why all of you are told you like vitamin D. How many people were told you don't like vitamin D? Let's put it that way. You were lucky. Bottom line is, they tell everyone you like it, because this is not testing vitamin D. It's testing a chemical form of vitamin D. Yeah. I make, by far, the best vitamin D on the market, extracted from shiitake mushroom. I'm still going to insist you go out in the sun. And you don't go out to get wrinkles like I did as a young kid. You go out 9 in the morning and before, or in the middle of winter, you go out 12 in the afternoon under a tree, or 2 hours before sunset. And you get out there 30 minutes, 4 or 5 days a week, you won't have a vitamin D deficiency. Because even this best supplement in the world doesn't do what the sun does. Now, if you live in Florida, you have no excuse unless you're an invalid. But if you live in Toronto, I'm going to say take this stuff and then still get out. And where natural fiber flows. That's another way we get some. There's a few more questions. Anyone on this? Yes? You have one? I'll come back.
Okay.
No, I mean now.
Oh, come back now.
Quick.
All right. You mentioned distillation. Distillation is probably the best word. We have a filtration system that has activated charcoal, there's osmosis, and
It's still, these are so
there's
small.
nothing that gets through.
Well, you have to check and see. What you would have to do is bring it into the university here and have the chemical department check and see. These are so, they're protonic levels. They're below atoms, protons and neutrons. They're that small. And so they go through everything. They go through the ROs. And I mean very sophisticated ROs.
Well, the filter I have supposedly eliminates arsenic, and that's an element.
Yes.
It takes the arsenic
But
out. So it's gonna
arsenic
take
is a large structure.
but it's going to take most compounds as well.
You have to understand, arsenic is at an atomic level. It's an atom.
Yeah.
This is much smaller. The pharmaceutical particles are fractional sizes below the atoms. That's why
How's that possible?
because they're so small. What you have to understand.
I mean, they're by decomposing carbon and oxygen.
No. What you have to understand why pharmaceuticals are so viable is what they do is manipulate the molecule structures and the atom structures. So you have subparticulate levels that come out. That's why they're dangerous for the body and create mutagenic effects in the body. So although you begin with structure, you displace the structure so they become much smaller than they are. They're so minute and so small. They go through everything that they test, except a distillation unit, which actually boils it out, keeps it on one side, and just puts hydrogen and oxygen on the other side. That's how that works. So you've got to test it. Yes?
I was diagnosed with papillary cancer on my right frontal thyroid.
Right.
But I believe that
Papillary cancer on her thyroid.
so I believe that I can cure that it can be cured naturally.
Why not?
But I went to a medical intuitive, and she said that I had a lot of inflammation in a lot of my organs that sort of led to this coming out. She thinks it's a fibroid tumor, not cancer. But she says I really need to start with the digestive system. She suggested eating cooked foods first because that would help heal the stomach and digestive system. It's been 3 months, cooked foods, vegan, non-gluten, no food, pretty straight. But I've lost like 30-something pounds and I keep losing weight, down to like 111 pounds, and I'm starting to get like, is that okay? Or
I'm not going to question a medical intuitive. I'm just going to talk from science.
yeah, that's what I want.
Eating food that has nothing in it gives you nothing. If you take a food that doesn't challenge your digestive tract, doesn't mean it's good for you. It just means it slips from here and slips out the back and nothing happens in between. Why roughage food is challenging for people with poor digestion, you feel the digestive process attempting to occur. Now, when we have people like you, we don't say you cook food. We take raw food in ways that you can get it, use it in massive amounts, like I explained to this young lady. You take juice, wow. And we also put it in interesting ways with you, not only one way. If you look at a study that was halted, it was so effective, on hyperthermia at the University of Tennessee. I was in dialogue with that doctor that was like a kid in the candy store. He kept calling me giggling. I was the only guy that would listen to him. Another buddy of mine, Dr. Coyne, who helped Seaman invent MRIs, introduce us. They were actually reversing your type of cancer with hypertensive this person. But I don't know how much experience they have. I know I have a shitload of experience with what you have.
Can you speak about alkaline diets and pH and
There's a lot of people out there today that are talking about alkaline diets and diets that you can't get sick. You live